Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Pure Faith Podcast, a podcast where we discuss all things Bible. I'm your host, Michelle Waymeyer, and this is my brother and co-host, Mitchell Heitkamp. Oh, shoot. We ask that you like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and don't forget to hit the notification icon to be notified when new episodes are released.
There it is.
There it is. Yay.
Yay.
So first and foremost, I think we need to send out a congratulations.
Okay. Are we talking about for the wedding?
Yeah. Would there be any other reason I should be
I don't know.
congratulating? Not you.
Yeah.
No, we've got a church family wedding.
Yep.
So congratulations to Caitlin and to Remington. They are getting married this coming Saturday, which will be a week from this podcast release, right? It's like a week later. They'll be already married when you
by the time you see this.
Yeah. So, but no, we're very excited about celebrating with them and them joining together as husband and wife. So, congratulations to them.
Congratulations.
Yay! And we'd be patiently waiting for babies.
I have no preference or I don't care at all.
You don't care at all?
No.
Oh, no.
You do your thing.
Yeah. It's not even their plan, it's God's plan, right? So whatever happens, happens. But we our nephew, Caleb, is in the wedding, so we're very excited about him. Him and Remington have become very close the last couple of years. So it's exciting to see him in this wedding as well. So yeah, congratulations everyone. What else is going on? Nothing?
Not really. Just work.
Just work?
Paige is picking cherries tonight.
Is she?
Yeah.
She gonna make some cherry pies? Cherries? Where is she picking cherries at?
At a geometry house.
I didn't know they had a cherry tree.
Yeah, 2 of them.
They do? Remember when we used to pick cherries at Ralph and Diane's? Did you ever pick cherries there? Okay, so Grandma Conk would take us over to Ralph and Diane's. They had cherry trees there, and we would pick buckets and buckets of cherries, and then we would freeze them. We'd put them in the deep freeze outside in our garage, and then in the summertime, Missy loved them. She would go out and because we would put like water in with them. I don't know, to make them like an icing.
Like peaches.
Yeah, we did it with cherries all the time.
See, I don't remember the cherries.
Yeah, so we would freeze them, and Missy loved them. She would just get them right out of the deep freeze and eat them, just for a summertime snack. So, but we used to do that. I mean, I just remember a handful of times that we went over there and had to get the ladders out and pick the cherries. So, but yeah, fun memories for me.
Yeah, I don't have any memories of that.
Yeah, Grandma Conk she would can peaches, she would freeze peaches, cherries.
Yeah, Dad always loved the frozen peaches.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I actually like them too.
Do you?
Just not something I normally do.
No, and I think that AJ, Dylan's wife, I think that she gets peaches, and I think she does that. And I'm wondering if they do cherries. I vaguely remember Dylan telling me that he remembered frozen cherries, and I thought he said that he did that as well, but I can't remember now. So, but I don't have any cherries, and I don't use cherries for much of anything. So.
Yeah. Me neither.
Yeah, they're kind of tart.
They are.
Yeah, Daniel might like to try some though. I don't know. We'll see.
Okay.
Yeah, I always pick the cherry off my sundae. Oh, wait. I don't need ice cream.
Oh, I do.
Do you pick the cherry off your ice cream?
I don't get ice cream with cherries in it.
Oh, gotcha. Should have known.
Just chocolate and sometimes peanut butter.
You know what I really like though? Cherry cheesecake. That's good.
Yeah.
I like cheesecake. This is.
Why are we talking about food?
I know, because I, again, have not had dinner. I eat after the podcast.
I haven't had dinner either. I just had ice cream.
But you've had ice cream. I haven't had.
Dessert first. Why wait?
Yeah, I eat lunch about 2:00, so I had some lunch at 2, and then I wait to eat when I get home. So, anyhow. So, yeah. So, interesting enough, I find this interesting. Daniel had messaged me over the weekend and said that one of his friends was asking the name of our podcast. So 2 things came to light there. A, He's talking to girls.
That's not a surprise.
If you know Daniel, you know he's talking to girls. But it was the fact that they actually talked about it. Isn't that interesting?
That
Like,
is
I didn't
interesting.
ask him like how the conversation came up. But he sent me a message while he was with a group of friends and said, Mom, what's the name of the podcast that you do again? And so I told him, and he's like, oh, thanks, so and so was asking me. And I was like, that's very interesting that you guys are talking about podcasts, and my mom does a Bible study podcast and she wants to check it out.
Pretty sure Zeke doesn't know what a podcast is.
Zeke?
Yeah.
Well, he's only 4.
He should know.
I mean, oh, P.S. I've got Mitchell's boys this Saturday.
Yeah.
Wish me luck.
Well, by the time they see this, it will already be over.
I know, right? I hope I'm back next week. I need to go get.
You'll do fine.
I need to go get 2-color cheese.
That's true.
So I'm planning to do that tomorrow morning because I heard about this 2-color cheese I'm supposed to have at my house.
Yeah.
And we got to feed the toad.
Well, they're probably excited about that.
Oh, yes. Mitchell and Zeke found a toad. He was so excited about this toad. So we have this toad and we've been feeding it and taking care of it. So when they come over on Saturday, I'm sure it's going to be a hunt for bugs to feed the toad. We'll leave that with Uncle Don. Aunt Shell doesn't do that type of stuff.
Oh, good. Well, I'm just glad that.
So our toad passed away about a month ago, I guess. Now we had it for about 23 years, and it was a very sad day when Toady passed away. And Zeke and more Zeke than Eli would help Uncle Don feed the toad when they were at our house. So when you came across it,
Zeke goes, Toady didn't die. He just came out here. Like, you're right, Zeke. We better catch him so he can go back home.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Oh,
so we got him.
Yep. And now he is living at our house. Yay!
Don't act like you're not happy.
I am happy for all the people who love the toad.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So, are we going to do Bible study tonight?
I don't know. Do we have to?
I know, right? It's just one of those days, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
Kind of tired.
Are you? Well, you work hard.
Well, I work.
Well, that's good. Something
I have
we
a
all
job. I go there.
Yeah. And then you leave there and you come here and you're filthy.
I am pretty dirty.
Yeah, I don't think the camera can catch all that.
No, actually,
you smell like
oil.
Oil and shop, and I can honestly tell you that that's the smell I'm getting. That's the smell I'm getting right now. At least it's not terrible, but yeah, that's the.
I think it's actually giving my bibs a bit of a gleam.
Oh, you're so crazy. Oh my goodness.
All right.
All right, let's get into it. I did set my alarm, so you're looking at 24 minutes to get into Matthew 1. Wait, where are we? Matthew 4?
Matthew 5:4.
Matthew 5:4.
Yeah, so we are on blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted.
Oh, yes. We touched on this just a little bit, didn't we?
We did. We started to get into this on our last episode. And the biggest thing that we started looking at was the fact that this concept of mourning, it isn't necessarily the fact that you're mourning over the fact that you lost a loved one or something like that. It's more of the mourning in the realm of you have a broken relationship with the Lord and you are mourning over that broken relationship, or you're mourning over the fact that you want a closer and deeper relationship with the Lord. So it's, I mean, the whole idea of mourning over loved ones, over pain and suffering, yes, that is included too, but it's more than just that. Like most of these, it's not just your typical top, the first thought. It's deeper than that.
Yeah.
There's always more to it than what you just see on the surface.
rightfully so. I never thought of it being other than the way I look at mourning.
Yeah.
So when I see this, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is why we do a Bible study.
Yeah. So we're gonna pick up where we left off last week, and
we talked about all that. Where are we at? Are
we're
we starting like
actually
B, C? We're on C.
C.
Okay, I was gonna say because we've already done most of that. Okay.
So this idea of mourning, it kind of goes hand in hand with what we talked about. I think in the last two episodes, about the poor in spirit.
Yeah, poor in spirit.
Verse 3. So this idea of mourning and being poor in spirit, they both go hand in hand. And verse 3, when we're talking about the poor in spirit, that has to do with more of the mindset. So it's your mindset of, accepting Christ as the Son of God and choosing to live your life in a way that is focused on God. So it's more of an intellectual aspect of faith.
Okay.
Where here in verse 4, this is more about the feeling aspect of it. It's that feeling of mourning, that feeling of desire to have that relationship with the Lord. So it's more of an emotional aspect of faith. So it's these two aspects. It's this verse 3 being the intellectual aspect of faith, and now verse 4 being the emotional aspect of faith. And to take that even a step further, what is faith? What is the biblical definition of faith? Well, we get that from John 20:29. And the biblical definition of faith is believing without seeing. Because in John 20, that is the story of doubting Thomas.
Okay.
Where
right.
Jesus went to go visit the disciples, but Thomas wasn't with them. And so the disciples told Thomas, like, hey, Jesus is risen. He came to visit us. And Thomas was like, unless I can put my fingers in the nail holes in his hands and the the hole in his side, I'm not going to believe you guys. Well, Jesus came to visit them again. Thomas was there, and Jesus like, Thomas, put your fingers in my hand or in the holes in my hands, and put your fingers in the hole in my side. And you know, Thomas's response was, "My Lord and my God." And Jesus says, "You have seen, so you believe. Blessed are those who believe without seeing." So that is where we get this idea of faith. So verse 3 is this intellectual aspect of faith. So it's this whole idea of, like we talked about multiple times now, it's about living your life focused on God, and then having that faith. So believing in God without seeing. And so now verse 4, this idea of mourning, is the emotional aspect of that believing without seeing. So we can see this, and I kind of hinted at this last episode, a couple episodes ago, but that we can see this whole relationship a little bit clearer in Isaiah 61, 1 through 3. So I'm going to read this.
Okay.
And then we're going to kind of do a breakdown there. So this reads, "The Spirit of the Lord God is upon me, because the Lord has anointed me to bring good news to the poor. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives, and the opening of the prison to those who are bound, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor, and the day of vengeance of our God, to comfort all who mourn, to grant to those who mourn in Zion, to give them a beautiful headdress instead of ashes, the oil of gladness instead of mourning, the garment of praise instead of a faint spirit, that they may be called oaks of righteousness, the planting of the Lord, that he may be glorified." So if we break this down, then here we see Isaiah says that he is bringing good news to the poor. Well, in most cases, biblically speaking, poor, whenever it talks about poor, that means the poor in spirit, because Isaiah isn't saying that he's taking this good news to just everybody who has a small bank account.
Right.
So this is about those who don't have, or who are poor in spirit.
Yeah.
We've discussed that over and over again. So I won't go any deeper into that. But this is who this poor is that poor in spirit. And then he also says that he is going to bind up the brokenhearted.
Right.
Well, what does that mean? So to bind up, that is just another way of saying gather.
Okay.
So if you want to bind something together, you're gathering it together to bind it up. But then brokenhearted. Well, what's another way of saying brokenhearted? Is somebody who is in mourning. So he is gathering up those who are in mourning. So that's what this is saying. But then it says that he is going to bring liberty and release captives. So who is Isaiah speaking about here?
It's a great question.
So it goes back to what we were just talking about. He's talking about those that are poor in spirit.
Okay.
So
because they're captive in it.
Because they are captive. Because it is those that are bound up in that prison of mourning.
Right. Okay.
So, and we kind of talked about this last week or in our last episode. What causes mourning? It's a separation from God.
Yeah, from you and God.
And then what causes that separation? Sin, typically. It could be other things, but typically sin. So therefore, this is referring to the poor in spirit, which again, this is that intellectual aspect of faith. So living your life in a way that is focused on God and choosing to do that. So these poor in spirit are being released from the prison of sin, which causes our mourning. And then the idea of our mourning is that whole emotional aspect of it. So, after Isaiah kind of talks about this, so he's going to bring good news to those that are poor in spirit. And then that good news is that he is going to release them from that prison of sin. Well, then he goes on to say that basically what's going to happen after you accept this, like after I give you this good news and you choose to accept it, then he kind of goes through three different things that are going to change in their lives, basically.
Okay.
So the first one is that he said that he is going to give them a beautiful headdress instead of ashes.
I see this.
So all three of these, they're kind of like, I mean, kind of it's weird, like because we don't talk like this anymore.
No.
Like we don't wear headdresses.
No, we do not.
We don't. If we're doing anything with ashes, we're throwing them out, cleaning out the fireplace or whatever. At least we do that. I have an outdoor wood burner, so we have to take the ash out.
We used to do that when we were young.
We did, yeah. It was kind of nice. You had to shake her, shake down all the ashes and dump it out.
You need to clean it out.
Anyways,
okay.
So yeah, we don't do anything with ashes, really.
No.
But so we're going to go through and I'm going to explain this.
Okay.
So the ancient posture of mourning. So by that I'm saying back in the ancient Israelite days, whenever they would be in a state of mourning, and this is like a state of mourning because they lost a loved one, or they're in grief of some sort.
Okay.
They would typically tear their clothes, and then they would put ashes on their head. And this was a way of publicly displaying the fact that they are in mourning.
Okay.
So they had a lot of public display of things, which we don't do that.
No.
But yes, they did. So, and this was one of the things is the whole idea of ashes. The reason they're taking the ashes away. The ashes were a symbol of mourning.
Mm-hmm.
And so he is saying that, and to see an example of this, I didn't actually write it down, but if you want to look this up yourself, 2 Samuel 13:19
Okay.
is an example of this whole idea of ashes and tearing your clothes and stuff like that. So Isaiah is saying that the ashes will be removed because there will no longer be a reason for mourning.
Okay.
And instead,
Mm-hmm.
they will be given
A
a
headdress.
headdress.
Right.
Well, a headdress back in those days, in that time frame, it was an outward symbol. They're all about outward symbols.
Right.
Well, that was an outward symbol to represent a time of joy.
Okay.
So it was meant to symbolize that you were in a joyous state, or you were just having a joyous festivity of some sort of party, maybe a wedding of some sort.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Then they would wear a headdress. So this whole idea of joyous feast or festivities that
Yeah.
carries on into the next one, which is the oil of gladness instead of mourning. So this oil was a perfumed oil or ointment
Okay.
that during joyous feast or festivities or whatever would be poured out onto the guest.
Hmm.
So basically, you didn't have to wear perfume because it would be poured on you whenever you get to the party. Kind of way I take it. I don't know.
Kind of the way I was taking it.
But so yes, that's what this whole idea of the oil is. Again, it is something that is an outward symbol of joy and happiness and festivity and good times. And that is replacing mourning.
Okay.
So again, it's just another symbol of happiness.
Happiness. Yes.
And then the third one was a garment of praise instead of a faint spirit. So this idea of a garment of praise, again, is referring to a bright colored garment
Okay.
that people would wear as an outward symbol
Mm-hmm.
to indicate thankfulness. So again, it is another positive outward symbol
Okay.
where
There's
obviously
a lot of
they had a lot of stuff going on back then.
yeah. A lot of things to draw attention.
Yeah. I don't know.
Hmm.
But then
Bright colors,
obviously,
oils, headdresses.
yeah. But then obviously, faint spirit. That's just somebody who is. That's another way of saying mourning.
Okay.
You're just,
Yeah.
normally we say if you're in a good mood, you're high in spirit or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. Well, a faint spirit means
Right.
you're not in high spirits. You're
Right.
in low spirits.
But it could change. So
It could
that's why
change.
it says faint, because it can always change right back.
Yep, because whenever it's talking about mourning,
Mm-hmm.
it is the emotional
It
part of
is.
it, and that can change. So to summarize this whole thing, Isaiah is going to the poor in spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Again, that's people who are those who are poor in spirit. It is an intellectual aspect of faith. He is going to gather them up, all those that are mourning, and be like, "You have freedom and liberty through now looking at it from where we're sitting at today
Mm-hmm.
through Christ."
Right.
Now, Isaiah, that was all foreshadowing, or not really foreshadowing, prophecy. So, but now where we're at today, we can look back at this and be like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, so it's talking about Jesus. So, yeah. So it's a combination of the intellectual and emotional aspects that he's really focusing on here. And it's actually those combinations of those two. The reason why I keep hitting this so hard, this whole intellectual and emotional aspects of faith, is because that is where we get our biblical definition of religion.
Hmm.
So religion is the combination of that poor in spirit, that intellectual aspect, choosing mentally. Again, this is an inward type decision of accepting Jesus Christ for who he is.
Okay.
And choosing to live your life in a way that is focused on God. Now, granted, when you are baptized, you need to have a public proclamation of faith, but to be poor in spirit, that is inward. That is choosing to live that life and choosing that Jesus is who he says he is. And then pair that with the emotional aspect. So having that desire to have a better, deeper, closer relationship with God. And whenever you do slip up and sin, that it breaks your heart. You have that desire to live better and do better.
Right.
So that is the emotional aspect. So if somebody comes up to you and says, I'm not really religious, I'm just spiritual, Have you ever had anybody say that?
I've heard people say this before.
So now you can be like, oh, you're not religious, you're spiritual. So is it because you choose not to believe that Christ is who he says he is? Or is it because you just don't feel like following Christ? And then they'll be like, huh?
Huh?
And then you can explain it to them and basically tell them they're full of it. Because chances are they don't realize what they're saying.
No, they really don't.
Okay, so
I'm a free in spirit.
Sure.
Yeah, 5 minutes.
For they shall be comforted.
For they shall be comforted.
Yes. Again, this is future tense. Well, I guess not again, because this is actually the first one that we've had that is future tense. This is only verse 4. Obviously, we're not very far into this yet.
No.
So, yes, this is future tense. And again, if we look at Isaiah 61, 1 through 3, if we look at those three that we're talking about, so the headdress of the headdress instead of ashes, the oil of gladness instead of mourning, and the garment of praise instead of a faint spirit, those also are future tense. I don't know if you picked up on that, but those are also future tense. So, but if you actually read those, if you go back and listen to me read them again, I won't waste our time to do it again. But if you would read those again, that is talking about a future promise for those. Again, it was prophetic for Jesus. So basically, with Jesus, those who accept Jesus, they would have that headdress, they would have that oil, they would have that garment. But that's future, but it's also implying that it's going to happen in their lives.
Gotcha.
Well, this whole concept, for they shall be comforted, this statement is kind of the same aspect. I mean, it follows the same thing.
Okay.
Yes, it is talking about a future fulfillment, but we can believe and we can trust that this will be fulfilled in our lifetime. Now, we may not have full fulfillment until we get to heaven,
right?
But there will at least be a partial fulfillment while we are still on this earth. Because yes, this may be future tense. This may be talking about the future. But guess what?
What?
Tomorrow is the future.
Tomorrow is the future.
So
who knows?
We can have it tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely good.
So I guess from there we'll have to go into verse 5, but we probably don't have enough time.
We got like 3 minutes, and I set my timer for like a little bit longer than what we usually do, so totally up to you.
Yeah, we'll just go ahead and cut it off a little early.
All right. All right. Well,
now it's all you.
Now it's all me. Okay, so we thank you for joining us. Please leave a comment on the video or go to the contact page on purefaithliving.com to send us a message. And as always, if you like what you hear, then we ask that you show this. Oh my gosh!
You can show it to whoever you want to show it to.
You can. If you like what you hear, then we ask that you share this show with others so that we can all work together in spreading the good news of Jesus Christ. Don't forget to subscribe, and we will talk to you again next time.
Have a blessed day, everybody.